All right, what's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Thinker St. James here. I have a special guest with me today from Checkmate MMA, good friend of the channel. It is Price. How are you, sir?
What's up, fella? How you doing, buddy?
Doing all
Just got
right,
off a
man.
just got off a nice little 90-minute stream with Bill, former CFFC lightweight champion Mike Pope, and our buddy Baby Jeff from Florida, D1 wrestler, who's getting ready to be doing some wrestling content with us. So it was a good stream. Check it out if you're not a fan.
Yeah,
Stay
absolutely.
tuned.
Make sure that you are subscribed to Checkmate MMA. Guys are doing great things over there. A lot of great interview content and whatnot. I saw the show. It was a good time. You guys were having a lot of fun over there, chatting and doing your thing. So I don't mean to shift the mood on you with this more heavy, weighty subject, but the reason that I wanted to make sure that Price was with me for this is because we both talk a lot of content creation stuff off air, outside of streams and stuff. And this situation that we're going to be talking about today is something that I think is it could be highly detrimental. It's already highly detrimental to a couple creators, but could be very detrimental and have a lot of ramifications within the content creation space, which we've seen outside of MMA, but is now going to be creeping into MMA because of what's going on here. So I'm going to introduce this subject here in a second, but I wanted to give you a little bit more of the floor since this is your first time on the stream. I've been on Fight Show a couple of times, had a great time over there on your show, but tell everybody a little bit more about Checkmate, man. What are you guys about over there?
Oh man, we started 2016 roughly. I've been involved in the MMA. Well, I'll go back. I've been involved in MMA as a fan. First got legalized in PA in like 2009. Watched my co-host Bill Bookwalter transition from pro fighter in like 2011 as a fan. I started training in some of the same circles. Central PA wasn't a deep game here, so I've been licensed as a fighter. Well, licensed as a fighter. Never fought. Licensed as a fighter in Pennsylvania. Promoted in New York. Been a corner in Jersey. Been a corner in Maryland. Been a corner in Virginia. Ran the floor for the largest pro promotion in Virginia. Basically, back 2013, I was supposed to fight for Martial Arts Super Sport, which was a promotion here. If you remember the guy Jimmy Hedis that fought in the UFC, his manager ran that. Got a knee injury, cut weight anyways, just to show the promoter that I wasn't one of these guys that just signs a contract and doesn't show up. That was to be my second fight. Got sidelined with a knee injury. He respected the fact that he did it, brought me along for some stuff, started showing me the business side of the sport. I fell in love with it and kind of did that for a few years and then took a break because of some personal stuff. And then we relaunched Checkmate a couple years ago, started the show. I guess we're media. I got a fancy couple media passes hanging over here from some events we've been to. We call ourselves anti-media. We don't like the occasional one's all right. Our buddy Thinker over here at Yama Channel is real good, real respectful of the sport, but we come from a place of respect. We are not, you won't hear people saying that we're going to beat this guy's ass or this guy sucks, because we've been there. We've cut weight with guys. We've been in the gym. We've been in the locker room. We've been backstage. Everybody that makes the walk gets respect on our channel. So if you're tuning in over there, it's a different view. It's a different, we just try and bring perspective to the sport, try and give you guys, just do what the UFC does, tell you different stories from different vantage points about different things going on, provide some news, provide a lot of fuckery. Website's dropping probably another week. We're going to condense everything out, our link tree and all that, get all our sponsors. We got coffee, we got merch, we got a bunch of supplements and some other stuff coming. So check it out. CheckmateMMA.com, CHK M8 MMA, or if you're not following us on any social, and I mean any, because we're literally pretty much everywhere, at CHK M8 MMA on every social.
There you go.
That catches me up, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, for the people who are hanging out, much appreciated. John Dong, always appreciate. Anakin, good to see you guys. If you are not following Checkmate, make sure that you do. But as you were saying, I mean, you guys have a little bit of a toe in every kind of area of content creation, even if you are anti-media or however you want to portray yourself. But one of the main reasons that I wanted to talk to you specifically about this subject is because based on our conversations that we've had off air, like, you have a very I'd say a nuanced take on a lot of stuff. You try to see things from all angles. And I think that, based on like what you were saying, how, we come from a place of respect and all that kind of stuff. I think that that's sort of where that emanates from to an extent. It's like, you respect the sport, so you try to see all of the different sides of the equation as opposed to just going in headstrong on one opinion and hammering it home, which is sometimes how the content creation space can be for certain creators. So I
mean, not to cut you off, but I've seen people on multiple channels that it's just me as a person. You can call it what you want. I'm not saying this because we're live on the internet. We carry the energy in real life. Like, we've got the experience. Half of the look, I've always, famous saying on our show is 85% of the fan base doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And they don't. And again, I'm not saying nothing about that 85%. We need them. We're here to bridge the gap between that 85% and the other 15%. We're here we call it infotainment. We're not here to educate. We're also here to entertain. Like, we want somebody to come away leaving stuff. We have the opportunity outside of Big John and the occasional you got occasional Herb Dean, maybe Jason Herzog makes a surprise appearance on Henry Cejudo's. You don't have a ref really spitting game about the game from a ref's perspective on it, except for Big John. And that guy helped write the rules. So as far as officiating goes, he's kind of up here, but we're lucky enough on our content team to not only have people that have 30 plus years combined in the space in promoting, managing, fighting, training, quartering. We've cut weight. Tanner and I are both blue belts. We've competed multiple jiu-jitsu tournaments. Like, I may have never gotten into the MMA fight space itself. The only thing I haven't done is fight, but I've done enough competing. I've shed enough blood. I've gotten enough busted noses and eyes and orbital sockets. And I put my time in. All due respect to everybody that fights and makes the walk. I never did make the walk, and I don't claim to make the walk, but for every other facet of this sport, whether it be being a corner or being backstage at a pre-bout with the commission or being licensed with commissions, I've done it, so I can speak on it, and I feel comfortable enough to speak on it. And I preface it with, hey, if I'm talking to somebody, I say, hey, maybe what I've done is a toe dip in the shallow end compared to what you've done, but I've still got some experience in the game, and I look forward to unpacking as best I can. It's going to be a lot of opinion because this is really more of an opinionated subject, so
sure.
not to be long-winded.
No, not at all. I mean, but so this is an interesting dynamic between the two of us. I don't have any combat experience whatsoever. I'm completely open about that. I come from just a fan's perspective entirely. Come from a comedy background, of course. That's my main deal. Comedy writer for many, many years. Just a huge fan of MMA. Paired the two together, that became the Yama channel. But what I have an extensive background is the YouTube space. I have been involved in YouTube in one facet or another for the better part, I want to say, of around maybe 15 going on 18 years, something like that. So, and even before being involved in it, a massive fan almost back to the inception of it. I've been on, I'm a digital native, so to speak. So, I mean, I've been online my entire life, essentially. So I have an understanding of this ecosystem, and really seeing this kind of thing creep into the MMA space. I think that's why the two of us are good pairing for this, and also why I'm rather concerned about what's going on here with this MMA crazy situation. So let me just intro this situation for people who are not aware of what we're talking about, and then we'll chop it up a little bit. So basically what's going on here, if you are aware of the YouTube space at all, you might be familiar with the concept of copyright strikes. Copyright strikes are essentially the worst thing that can happen to a creator's channel. If you get a strike, it's different than a claim. A copyright claim is when a company or an entity will come in and say, hey, you're using a portion of our content in your content, or a portion of our video or audio or whatever it is. You're using part of something that we own. We want a cut of that, basically. So sometimes they'll get the entire monetization of a video. Sometimes it'll be shared monetization. Sometimes monetization goes away altogether. But a claim is not as bad as a strike. A strike is basically when somebody is saying that you've overstepped your bounds in the creation space, and we're going to dispute this legally, essentially, unless you take this video down, or some other kind of higher level arbitration takes place that, it essentially puts you into a very precarious situation. Because when you have a strike, 3 strikes on your channel will have your channel completely eliminated from YouTube. And that goes for any creator. That goes from people at my level, at, very small, super, tiny. Yeah, go ahead.
Just to interject a little bit of jackassery into your serious conversation here. Like, why is everything 3 strikes? Did they get it from baseball? Like,
It must be baseball, right?
Sorry, carry on. I'm editing a video. Carry on. I'm listening to what you're saying. Though. Carry on.
Exactly. They ain't walking anybody over here. But yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's 3 strikes will have your channel eliminated, no matter whether you're a small creator or if you are in the millions to, however many millions you may have. I mean, from our lowly level to PewDiePie will be eliminated from the platform. Of course, higher creators will have the resources and the connections generally to figure those situations out, but not always. And if you're in the middle somewhere, this can be a very precarious situation for your channel. So what has happened, this is something that goes on, like has been going on. It's a perpetual problem on YouTube that has been going on for a very long time. I don't think up until this point has ever legitimately creeped over into the MMA space. But what has happened now is there's the channel that we have on screen currently called MMA Crazy. MMA Crazy is a channel that covers the sport basically as a journalistic outlet, I would say. They have interview footage, they do news content. A lot of what you see from MMA Crazy is post-fight and pre-fight press conference footage. So that's where they're covering the sport and how they're covering the sport. That's the space that they occupy. So what they've been doing at MMA Crazy is they've been going after creators. And the way that I found out about this is, if I can share this tab instead, this is the second channel of a main channel called The Fight Business. The Fight Business is one of the larger channels, content creation outlets in the MMA space. Along with a couple other ones here. He thanks Beast Mode MMA, Paul Stryker ENG. That's another very big one. And of course, Combat Chronicles. These are all channels that are large in the MMA space. And what you see here on screen is that The Fight Business is talking in this video. I'm not going to play any of the video itself, but you can go ahead and check this one out if you're interested to hear how he phrases everything. But he's basically saying that the Fight Business channel is essentially wiped out because of copyright claims, copyright strikes rather, from MMA Crazy. So this is, needless to say, a very dangerous precedent that's being set here. And I just wanted to at least shed some light on it, get some perspective on it. And of course, that's why I brought Price on. So Price, what are you thinking about something like this?
Like, I wanted to kind of preface this earlier when I wasn't expected to give a full bio. So I kind of just winged one off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of how to start. So I have to look at everything that's involved in MMA. This is the only caveat. And Bill, my co-host, again, as a referee, you got to remember when I said shallow end of the water, my toe dip in the MMA space, there was weeks and months. There was months where Bill went to Philly every week or Jersey every week and 6, 8, 10, 15 weeks in a row, he's working shows. So like the guy got his reps in, refed hundreds of fights, been trusted with TV product for all the big guys. He talked about it and I never realized it. I never realized once I started realizing it, it's kind of the way I get burnt out. I have to wear 6 different hats at all times. And I say 6 is just a number I picked off the top of my head. Content creator, fan first, promote. You ask me a question. If you ask me a question, I have to think about it. If it's a loaded question, especially, and I don't mean loaded in a bad way. I mean something a little bit more complex would probably be a better word to use. If you ask me a complex question, I have to. There's sometimes I give you 2 answers. There's times where we talk about stuff, and if you clip it right on the show, it makes it look like I backtalk myself because we're talking about stuff, and then I'll make one point, and then I'll put a different hat on, and I'll make another point.
Yeah,
sometimes they can be contradictory.
Mm-hmm.
So from a content creator perspective, I'm going to go even a step further.
Mm-hmm.
These people at MMA Crazy, have been able to secure UFC press passes. Now, am I 100% thrilled with the amount of people I see asking questions at press conference that have press passes that are either ill-prepared or just probably they're not making the best of the opportunity that's given to them, and the opportunity given to them is pretty cool if you're in the media space. There's that. So there's that aspect of they're over here representing, they're building a brand. Hey, I know if I want to see pre and post fight press conference footage, I should go to MMA Crazy. Now, you got Full Send MMA, you got, I mean, fuck, if we were at the BKFC press conference on the ground, like there wasn't a lot of media people there in Philly. We gave you on the ground stuff. We were able to be there. From that aspect, I can see why somebody would get pissed off and copyright strike if you're biting their content. If you were taking their content, using it to make other content, and you were not giving them a hat tip, whatever, there's a side of me as a content creator. And again, like the month we hit 35 million views just on Facebook, and I say this just to give somebody a spectrum, like a realm. We haven't hit it since. We're not there now. The month we hit 35 million views, you had different groups of people. You had people that would share the posts. You had people that would take it and pull it and save it to their phone and then reshare it on other platforms, all with our branding on it, which is cool and fine. It's great. Then you had the people that started to try and hide the branding or add stuff to it to our branding is covered up or whatever. They're a bit of assholes. Then you have the people, and I'll shout them out in real life, and I don't care. I carry this energy in real life, and I give zero fucks. Creek Boys MMA will blatantly steal your content and just put their shit right over top of it. So there's different. Again, it's a nuance. It's a loaded, not a loaded question. It's
multifaceted. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Multifaceted because if I looked at you and I took this video right now and took all your fucking logos off of it and posted it as my own in my show, how the fuck would you feel?
Right.
So you look at it from that. Now, there's ways to fucking handle it and don't be a bitch and copyright strike them, hit them the fuck up. I mean, Christ, at least get a lawyer with a cease and desist. Like you're over here copyright striking people for something that, yes, you've gotten the press passes. Yes, you've earned it. But there's 15 people that did the same shit you did and do it better than you probably, all covering the same shit. So if I bite your video or I bite the guy's video sitting 2 things down from me, where am I going to get copyright strike? Certainly not. We're not going to take MMA Crazy shit no more. And again, on the other side of the argument, maybe they taught everybody a fucking lesson. Don't bite my shit.
Well, see, so here's the counter to the line of thought that you're presenting here, and I'm glad that you framed it the way that you did, because what generally is, I think, the methodology, at least as to how the content is being repurposed from MMA Crazy, it's not actually, I mean, now, okay, it depends on how deep down into it you want to get, because you could say that if MMA Crazy themselves are the people holding the camera, like if it's their camera and they're filming a fighter speaking, then maybe there's some merit to, oh, it's their content because of that. But the content in and of itself goes back to the fighter and I guess technically to the promotion, because they're not actually on camera. There's not a personality, at least that I have seen from MMA Crazy, that's like an on-air personality. They're not asking questions.
Yeah,
they're
AKA don't be a fucking little pussy ass bitch because you're reporting on content that somebody else technically owns. Look, perfect example, and I'll talk about, I don't care. It's not, we did a graphic one time for a fighter. This was years ago. We did a graphic for a fighter. It was using a picture of an event that we did not own. We shouted out when we did the graphic, we shouted out the original picture taker because he was a friend, came to the same shows. We ran in the same circles. We knew him. We shouted him out. He helped us out by giving us cool edits, cool pictures, and we helped him out, shouting him out, getting his brand out there, right? Mutual partnership. There was another company that then took that picture that we did, liked it so much, and turned it into a piece of merch. Now, look, we're cool. You're now taking a picture of a fighter that you don't know, taken by somebody else that you don't know. And again, the subject is not always just because somebody's the subject of a picture at an event does not mean they can claim. And again, I'm not a copyright lawyer, so feel free to.
Sure.
So the fighter really had no claim on that. The photographer kind of did to me, but we were cool. We had a mutual symbiotic relationship, no harm, no foul. This other company liked what we did, took our graphic. And did I feel salty about it? Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's my graphic. But at the end of the day, I did something that wasn't owned. I had no rights to say a fucking thing about it. Right. So I again, different hat, put a different hat on. I understand it. So don't be a bitch and copyright strike it. If you are creating completely original content, and for anybody that's never been at a press event for a big fight organization, when I say this guy's filming on this phone and this guy's the vape is a phone, I don't have two phones.
Right.
This guy's filming on this phone and this guy's filming on this phone. So where did the video come from? You tell me the video they used, unless it's MMA crazy and they ripped it, or something in that footage signifies, oh, my tripod fell, or somebody bumped into me, or somebody said something to me and it's picked up on mic, then you can dispute it legally. But are you really going to do that for, and again, I don't know how big these YouTube channels are, but we're over here, the little guys in the pond. I've only been doing YouTube for 6 months. I've survived a decade and a half on Instagram and Facebook and done well. I'm new to the YouTube space. I'm not monetized on YouTube, so I can't speak on any of this. But you're talking, if these guys are as big as you're saying with the channels, hundreds of thousands, if they're getting the watch hours, you're talking a significant amount of money. Again, another talking point. If MMA Crazy is making stuff that's getting them a significant amount of money every month, which allows them to send guys to these events, which allows them to get footage of, by all means, they have every right to be fucking a little bit pissed off. But
it's not theirs is my thing in the first, like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the subject itself is the content. Like, I mean, that I think is part of the bigger issue here. It's like they already are in a situation where like a press conference is inherently to promote and disseminate information. So you are putting yourself in a situation where that is the primary focus of the event itself. That's why the UFC is good about allowing that type of content to be reused and repurposed and shared and things like that. If you use fight footage, they'll strike you in a minute, and rightfully so. That's the actual core of the product. But the promotion of the product is in the interviews, it's in the press conferences and things like that. So, I mean, you being there and doing it, like, again, if you want to take it down to the level of it was them doing the filming, like you were saying, could it be this camera? Could it be this camera? I mean, there might be some variation there or some legal gray area or whatever, depending on what's provable or anything. But let's just say for the sake of argument, it's like,
let me explain. Let me run one thing by you while you're making this point, and
Sure.
It might pivot you a little bit. I promoted in New York. We did 3. We were actually. So New York was the Wild West when we were up there. We were up there prior to legalization. So literally, if I knew Matt had a cage, if I knew Thinker had a cage and I had a warehouse, I say, hey, bring your cage over here. The guy from the guy's training 5 guys in his garage, and we're going to bring them over and let them beat the shit out of each other and sell tickets. We could have done that within rights, and nobody could have fucking said a word about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We chose the option because we were looking to we had plans. We had planned to get licensed in multiple states. So we did the right way. We got a third-party sanctioning body at a time where you didn't have to, and we did this. When I tell you that we hired 3 different photographers, and the first 2 photographers that we got to shoot these shows put copyright stuff on every picture they sent us after we paid them to take pictures of the show, my partner went to court legally, to small claims court, to try and get the original copies of this, and they said we had no grounds. We did not own the pictures.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean,
now, this is New York State. It's small claims court in New York State. There's varying things in various spots, but at the end of the day, we had that we paid him. That was a service he was providing to us.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's, I think, a little bit of a different situation. That's a little bit more unique, I would say, than what we're talking about here.
Is it though? Because the guy showed up at an event, was paid to go to an event by the people holding the event. This is the only caveat that's different. UFC is not paying these guys to come in. We paid him as a service provider to give us these pictures. Apparently, somewhere's in his contract, he has copyright on all these pictures, and we had no case.
Yeah,
what we were told in court by a judge.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. I mean, I can understand the frustration in that, but I mean, with this, I'm like, the whole idea of the content that they're creating on MMA Crazy is informational. I mean, like, it's the dissemination of information based on the sport that they're covering. Now, if they're watermarking all of their stuff, then I guess you could say that maybe that should be considered its own hat tip, perhaps. If people are cropping out watermarks, cropping out identifiable information, I guess maybe there's some claim there that it could be a little bit more interpreted as dubious or underhanded. But I mean, I think that the issue that I'm having with it is that it's what they're using in the first place is something that the fighter is willingly putting out there for the world to see. I mean, like, now granted, you know, if they're having it on their channel,
it's the
you know,
UFC allowing these people to come in and create content for them.
okay, so the UFC then, or whichever
I mean, here's
side
the
I'm
deal: the
saying,
UFC films. If anything, the UFC films the fucking presser. So realistically speaking, as much as they are 1936 Germany about everything the fuck else content wise on the fucking thing, God forbid you post a finish 3 seconds after it's done and you pull it off Twitter and post it, they're going to snag you in a heartbeat, no matter what platform you're on, right?
Yeah.
No matter what. Fun fact: this is how tight the UFC is. Matter of fact, you were there. You were there. We were talking about the Mike Malott, the great Mike Malott, Bill Bookwalter incident. Okay.
Yeah.
Before I got off and out of the studio and back down into my computer and whatnot downstairs, we had a Facebook notification that the UFC flagged us for 19 seconds of our video because it was a CFFC video. Yep. I can tell you this: CFFC is a regional promotion, and if you post any of their fucking shit, they're flagging you in a fucking heartbeat. Again, all different caveats because these are the people that own the product.
Right.
I understand. There is a difference. The only argument they have is they created that content. You can look, if I show up to an NFL football game and the guy hits a touchdown and I got end zone seats and he jumps up in front of me and looks at me and goes, "What's up?" and does a viral moment, hands me the ball, and I post that to the internet. I don't think the NFL is not coming after me for a copyright strike. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So,
well, maybe. I mean, that, you know, I'm not in that space.
You know what?
It's a good point.
You never know. It's 2020.
But so, okay. So, well, then let's agree then that, like, them having a claim to the actual original content itself, there's some validity there. I'll go down that line of thinking with you.
Yeah.
I think then the argument then becomes, this is not a person taking MMA Crazy's video in its entirety and saying, "This is mine," because I think that that's a good comparison to what you were saying when those guys were taking your graphics and things like that. They're literally stripping your watermark, your logo off of it and saying, "This is mine." This is, if you go to, I mean, you can't do it anymore now, of course, but if you went to the fight business, he's using 10 seconds of a fighter talking in context to illuminate a greater point that he's trying to make. It just happened to have come from MMA Crazy. And he even says in his video that
would he have gotten that content if it wasn't for MMA Crazy providing it for him?
Well, this is the thing. He was saying that, like, you know, you get content from a ton of different outlets and this and that. And one of the things that the other channels that had alerted him, because some of those other channels that he was shouting out kind of said, "Hey, you know, MMA Crazy is going a little crazy over here, the copyright strike, and everybody, what you should do is go back and unlist all of your videos that have any of their footage in it." And he was like, "I've got 300 plus videos. I can't go back and you know, play whack-a-mole with this shit." So, like, that's the point though, is that, like, yeah, he might not have gotten it from that outlet at that time or whatever, or could he have gotten it from elsewhere? I mean, generally speaking, I would say, like, MMA Mania and some of the other bigger outlets, like, will also have the same content out there often. So, like, you know, it's like you were saying, the two cameras side by side. So he just happened to get it from MMA Crazy, but had he gotten it from Full Send or whoever else, you know, we're talking about, then it could have been a completely different story. So, I mean, the whole point though, and it's taking a step back anyway, though. The point is that he's doing it transformatively. He's not taking the entire video or the entire press conference or their entire product and saying, "This is mine." He's saying a piece of this. It's the same way that when you watch a YouTube video and somebody uses a clip out of a movie that, you know, a reaction thing or something like that. Yeah. You know, granted, it's Paramount Pictures or whoever's the owner of that movie that owns that.
Okay, you really make a good argument, and they're being bitches for doing it. I understand why they did it. Again, this is one of the things where, like, I'm sitting here not involved in it at all, and I'm like, see your side of it. You're being a bitch, but I kind of see your side of it because I literally go like, shout out to Tanner. He's our senior content producer at Checkmate. Tanner gets Tanner will fight a motherfucker in the street if he knows you're like if he sees Creek Boys in the street, Tanner's fighting in the street.
Hell yeah.
He's a blue belt. He's choking them. They're going to sleep.
No, Tanner's that dude, bro. Shout out to Tanner.
Shout out to Tanner Canada. I don't know if he's watching now or not. But shout out to Tanner Canada. He's a good dude. I'm glad to have him on my team. But he gets so I'm at the point now where I'm like, Brooke, we're out here. The thing, it's one of these. Here's the deal. The world would be a better place if some people just stayed in our. And look, I'm over here talking to you about somebody else's business that has no fucking bearing on me. But if people just stay in their fucking lane and do what the fuck they're doing and worry about themselves and not everybody else. I mean, I know this is a bigger fair use argument, content creation, but again.
Yeah, well, and this is kind of something that the Fight Business brings up in his video. He was like, no one even really knows why MMA Crazy is doing this, because it's not like they would have, like, if they had gone through the...
I can tell you why they're doing it. I MMA Crazy, if I'm speaking for you and I'm ill speaking, please correct me on the fucking internet. Feel free to call me out. Whatever. You're more accomplished than I am. I don't give a fuck. We can fight. I 100% would fight you in the street. I don't care.
The woman, I think, who runs it, but I digress.
Oh, I wouldn't fight her because God forbid you can't. But my old lady would fight her in the fucking
There
street.
you go. All right, there you go.
Anyways, you guys have earned the right to have a UFC press pass. I understand that. Don't be bitches. Like, you're in the MMA space. But like that's like what's his face talking about suing the other guy. Come the fuck on now, bro. Y'all are fucking fighters.
Who you talking about?
When Haney and fucking Garcia were talking.
Gosh, yeah, okay,
yeah. Against boxing, sorry. I know we're not about boxing on the show. Combat sports in general. Y'all are professional fighters. Everybody's supposed to be a gangster. Everybody talks shit at the press conference. Rah, rah, rah. We're this far away from each other. Rap, 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 rap. We're selling the fight. Y'all are suing each other? That is some bitch shit.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
My co-host Bill Bookwalter, he literally told Jason Hersog, all due respect, because he's worked with Jason, he's worked on the same shows as Jason. He respectively told Jason Hersog to just shut the fuck up. Okay, respectfully, MMA Crazy, stop being a fucking bitch. Flat out, there's your soundbite. Yama, it's not Yama if I'm not fucking yelling and talking with my hands. MMA Crazy, stop being a bitch.
I second the notion. But what I was getting at though is that, like, if they had put a copyright claim on the video, they probably still would not have even won that, because the idea is that if it's transformative, and that's why I put a shout out to Realize in the chat. Appreciate you, brother. But that's the way you're saying, that's the purpose of fair use, is that if you're using it transformatively, then that's the entirety of the fair use argument in the first place. So it's like no one really knows what they're getting at by trying to take down large channels that are not competition to them. The same people who are watching the Fight Business are probably also watching MMA Crazy for different reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if the argument would be, oh, they're splitting the views, or they're splitting the the audience or whatever, it's not a good argument.
Here's the one thing you haven't talked about, and this is something we talk about at length.
Shoot.
This is something I've talked about with Sterling. The problem is these motherfuckers get too big and they forget. Everybody that's ever run a social media page that's gotten you, there's people you want to get to. There's people you don't give a fuck about. There's people you should comment back on because they've supported you. They're your day ones. The problem is these people get so big and they fucking forget. Whereas when you have and then you have X amount of pies up here, there's only X amount of people that are getting press passes. There's only X amount of people that are able to put this content out, and everybody's at each other's fucking throats trying to drop news first and trying to be the first to do this and first to do that. Social media is residual, bro, in every way. I don't pay attention if my shit gets 1,000 views on the first day. I pay attention if it gets 1,000 views on the 10th day. Let's pay the fuck attention and let's work together instead of let's communicate and let's do stupid shit. Because guess what? At the end of the day, this content right here is going to be on my channel. It's going to be on Thinker's channel. If people want to rip it and reshare it, it's going to be on their channel. I don't give a fuck. If people want to come on here and clip my stupid, dumb, fat Italian ass yelling and talking with my fucking hands and then do one of those fancy things where I get wrecked into it, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Do it by all means. Spread my fucking brand out there.
Please do that. Please do that, by the way.
I don't care. Clip it. I don't give a fuck. Tanner, make it happen. I don't give, like, it is what it is, bro. Like, people are so hung up. And again, everybody that makes the walk gets respect. But more importantly, like, Thinkers over here have been involved in the YouTube space for a decade. I've been involved for 6 months. So when it comes to like YouTube stuff, I kind of defer to him when he's been around the game. He understands the algorithm more than I do. I upload videos hoping one of them's going to be viral, and then my hilariously bad decisions are going to be live on the internet because I'm going to pay some guy to film me do all of them. Like, that's the only difference, bro. If I get rich, we'll be able to tell. But there's enough pie for everybody, and you got guys going at each other's throats. When guess what? If the fighting business and the MMA crazy put their fucking fan bases together and fucking co-collabed and created more awesome fucking content for the MMA fan base, because we can never get enough, you could probably do some great fucking things.
Well,
but instead, you're over here fucking up this guy's money because you're pissed off because he fucked up your guy's money.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point too, though, is because I think that the issue comes down to also the idea of what I was saying earlier about, like, if the fight business was specifically chopping out watermarks or trying to take MMA crazy out of the equation, that would be one thing. Now, I have not seen enough of his content to know if he was doing anything like that. I would highly doubt that he would have been, because that in and of itself, there's like an unwritten code of conduct on YouTube. That's why this whole thing with the copyright strikes is like, that is so far into the red. That's like a cardinal sin on YouTube. When you start falsely copyright striking people, like, that's when the YouTube community at large, it turns against you, because like, you just don't do that. But my point, but the point though is that if they had been taking stuff out specifically to push MMA crazy out of the space in their videos, that would be one thing. But what you're saying is exactly right. When that if you have their watermark on the video, that's better for both of you. It's a collaborative thing. Like, even if you weren't like necessarily hands-on in the collaboration, your content getting out there to more people multiplies it inherently. So you thinking that you're dividing audiences or that you're losing out because somebody uses 10 seconds of your video and theirs is a backwards way to think about things. Sorry, go ahead.
It's the petty. Look, here's the deal. You can't even show up in a fucking, I don't know how it is in Florida, dog, but if you can't even show up to a fucking drive-through and order a hamburger without pickles half the time and get an actual hamburger that's decently put together, not thrown the fuck together without pickles. The problem is people don't give two fucks anymore, and nobody has the attention span to do something. So there may be this guy over here that's not biting any of their fucking content, and I can tell you from experience, but maybe they get striked out. They get struck. I don't think how to say this. Maybe they get lashed out at by getting the strike because of what the other 5 guys did before him. So again, we're talking about something that we're not involved in. It's kind of one of them things where if I let you borrow $20 and you run off like a thief in the night to go smoke crack or whatever the fuck it is you're going to do at $20 and you can't pay me the fuck back, I just learned a lesson and it only cost me $20. I now know as a content creator, don't bite any of the MMA crazy shit. And it didn't cost me a fucking thing.
Yeah, no shit. Well, and that's I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's some video on this very channel on Yama that there's probably some clip from MMA Crazy. So, fair open season. I might be involved in this more so at some point down the line. Keep your eyes open. We'll see if I end up getting a strike. I am not taking shit down. Like, I mean, like, at least not initially. We'll have to see what happens legally if it comes to that. But off rip, I mean, that's exactly why I wanted to do this stream right here, right now, was, to not only shed light on it for everybody who's not aware, because I mean, I think that if you're not necessarily as entrenched in the content side of things as you and I are, it's probably not something that's been disseminated farther than maybe the fight business's audience and maybe a couple people on Twitter I've seen talking about it. But like, the point is that it's like, you're exactly right. I mean, this whole thing gets blown out of proportion and turned into something that it wasn't necessarily like initially supposed to be, but everybody knows now that MMA Crazy is something to stay the fuck away from. And it's like, if you were subscribed before and know that this is what's going down now, then I mean, that's an instant unsubscribe for me at the fucking very least.
Look, let me give you an example, and I'm gonna speak real for the next 30 seconds. Nobody in the fucking chat's gonna understand what I'm talking about, but Thinker's gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's think back just a short ways here about things you hear on the fucking from random ass fucking weirdos on the internet. Okay. And the validity of them, because the validity of stuff is, if you're out here doing this shit and you have that shitty of if you're doing that type of shit and you have that shitty of a reputation, you've done it before, which means your weight, that the reputation that you have in this industry, in this space, I've been on the internet live talking shit for 7 months. Guess what? Plenty of fucking people have played the fucking game of going back and trying to dispute stuff I've said on the internet. They go on the internet deep enough. I don't claim to be a famous MMA promoter. I promoted amateur MMA in New York prior to legalization. But guess what? The people I have on my show, the places I go to, the places I'm invited to, speak for my reputation. MMA Crazy cannot say that so much now. You know what I'm saying? The other person, it's at least questionable. The shit that you heard. Remember, what's the old saying? Question what you hear, No, I'm not talking about Crazy Kev, because that's another weird aspect that fucking Thinker hits me up with that I have no fucking clue is going on. No, Checkmate MMA, skank free since 2025. Okay, people will know what the fuck we're talking about. I don't give a fuck. Some harsh shit was said about me on the internet. I haven't spoken about it publicly now. I don't give two fucks. Prove it. You got some bullshit, fake ass shit. You don't do fucking work, and then you don't show up to production meetings, and then you drive around and send emails to people who I'm friends with who send me the emails and claim that you're running our company, which has been around since 2016, when you can't even put together a fucking sentence live on the internet. So Checkmate MMA, skank free since 25. Those of you that know, if you know, you know. If you don't, I sound like a rambling fucking idiot for the last 30 seconds. But that was my fucking point, Thinker. Like, I could care less what again, we don't know all the ins and outs. This dude, I don't know this dude either. And this dude's clearly feels some type of fucking way about it. MMA Crazy clearly felt some type of way about it. If you're out here creating content, I can tell you this the fucking hard way. If you're look, the boys in the chat, he appreciates it. Shout out to Tanner Canada in the chat. If you don't follow him on socials, senior content producer at Checkmate MMA, stand-up dude, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt, will give you the shirt off his back. One of the nicest guys I've ever met. I'm just stoked to have him on my team. Thinker with the cosign, Tanner earlier. Thinker with the cosign before.
Oh yeah, no, Tanner's that dude for real. Appreciate you, brother.
Tanner's that dude. He's him. If you don't know Tanner Canada, he's him. But no, shout out to MMA Crazy for being a bunch of fucking bitch ass cunts.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what I guess it comes back to. I mean, and I think that the broader what I wanted to like really like overarch all of this with when it comes to like these types of issues is that when you start this path, when you start going down this road, you don't recognize how big of a can of worms not only are you opening for yourself, but you're opening for the creator community that you're a part of. Because this starts going, you know, somebody gets wind that you're doing this, and then all of a sudden, you know, something from 5 years ago that somebody else can say, oh, well, you know, I would talk to this guy.
It's the MMA community, whether you're a fighter, whether you're a coach, whether you're involved in the media space, whether you're a fucking YouTuber that has no clue what he's talking about, or you got 20 years on the fucking mats. It's all perspective, and everybody at some point, if you're a content creator in this space, you're going to bite content. We have a team of two. We curate some of our content. We will take the new UFC Artist Series poster and we will post it to our socials. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you look at even the biggest boys in the content space on social media that are doing the thing, you're Fight Bananas, you're like Full Send's gotten to a point they're not biting anything. A lot of these guys don't, but a lot of the guys coming up, you curate some. Till you, until you make it.
I mean, well, and also it's like, unless you are a journalistic outlet that is covering the sport and being the one that's on the ground getting the actual information at first, it's all information within the same ecosystem. So when it comes out, it becomes part of the conversation. Like it's not proprietary. Like I think that's a big point of all of this as well. That's why I was trying to get at a little bit earlier when we were talking about like the footage. It's when you know, if you're watching whatever, for example, Justin Gaethje is at a press conference. Say Justin Gaethje says X, Y, and Z. That now is a quote from Justin Gaethje. So it's not like that any one person owns the quote. If you put it in your thing and somebody else put it in their thing earlier, you're crabs in a bucket if you're trying to reach up to the top to get the quote. It's the public good at that point. That's part of the community. That's what I'm saying. If you start tearing down the community, it becomes this way toxic environment. And I'm not trying to be, you know, not politically toxic, that kind of dumb, you know, nonsense. But I'm talking about like, you know, you start poisoning the well, I guess is a better way to put it. You know, it's like this is public stuff within our space. Like we're all covering the same stuff. I am a big fan of GK. GK is a great creator, one of my favorites, or ITP MMA, another one of my favorites that I fuck with. Like we cover a lot of the same stuff. Why? Because it's the fucking news. You know, Ilia Topuria vacates the belt. You don't think I'm going to cover it and he's going to cover it too? Like, yeah, we have a little bit of overlap. So, but if he comes over to me and says, oh, man, we're covering it the same way, well, that's stupid.
There's no cover it the same way because much like me and you talked about, and again, we're not doing the exact same thing. Our content, Yama's content, Checkmate's content, two very different platforms. Like, of
course.
If I could take a piece of the Yama page and bring it over to our page, we have that, you know, shout out to Crossover MMA, you guys that are doing the working the scripts, doing the scripts, and fucking doing the content. Like we're trying to get into more of that. To I guess to legitimize, to just give everybody another perspective on what we're doing here. Like, Tanner's brought in, hey, maybe we should get guys to come in and write articles. I don't want to be a bloody elbow. I don't want to be. And again, you're kind of a mix between a little bit of stand-up comedy and kind of a verbal. I like to look at your pages like back in, like, you were a verbal WordPress site. Like, you're over here, you're giving them, you're preparing your stuff, you have a script, you're giving them your content, and that's what you're doing. Whereas we go live on the internet. I think I actually asked Bill off air tonight. Bill, and if you've never watched our show, Thinker can appreciate this. Bill somehow had this beer mug that was never empty tonight.
I did notice that. That was actually really funny.
He did. Okay, so he did get up. He never got up. But the beer, Christy's in the back just refilling his beer cups, bro. He pulled out like 3 of them.
That made me laugh.
We're live on the internet. The show gets funnier the drunker Bill gets. We just have fun. We're not producing the same content. But what did I say to you? We've had private conversations before. We've had great in-depth private conversations before. I consider you a friend in the space, and I've never even met you in person. But like, you're always welcome on our show. We're always welcome on your show. We know that. And if I go to the BKFC press conference in Philly and I have an hour of footage, I'm not going to use all that. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, Thinkers on the ground in Florida. Why not reach out to these people and create a fucking network like we're trying to do of smaller creators that help each other and feed each other content and give each other, because I've been doing this stuff for so long, bro. I'm so burnt out from MMA. We talked about it off the show. I did not watch the Manel Cape fight. I did not. The week before, when you came on the show, we're doing fight breakdowns. I didn't research anything, and I do that on our show. If I know that it's my turn in front of the mic, I respect the sport and I respect the athletes enough to where I spend at least 2 to 3 days prior researching what's coming up, giving guys records. And I mean, you can tell the difference when I've done my fight prep on a show and when I haven't. I've had shitty shows where I've had to wing it because somebody didn't show up or a guest canceled and we weren't planning on doing what we were doing, but we're doing it any fucking ways. So we struggle through it. That's my fault for not being prepared. I should always be prepared, but I'm not. So like, we just do different content. It's different things. Us as a community, it's kind of like everything the fuck else, bro. I don't give a fuck who you voted for. I really don't. I don't care. I don't care. I didn't care 4 years ago. I don't care now. I didn't care if you got a shot. I don't care if all I give a fuck about is if my grandma is sick and she's 96 years old and I bring you over to my house and you got COVID, have enough fucking decency to tell me. I said the C word. I don't want to get you demonetized. Point being, if everybody in every space just actually didn't get sucked into the internet trap of being too comfortable just saying what you wouldn't say in real life, the world would be a better place. We all get into it. I mean, for fuck's sake, Bill's one of the nicest guys I know that'll give you the shirt off his back. Solid, salted earth human being, 20 years plus on the ground, in the game, 5 different states. And Bill's argued with people over chicken parmesan on the internet and gotten Facebook jail over it. So we just have, like, treat others how you want to be fucking treated. If you don't want people stealing your content, don't steal their content. I don't post videos of fucking press conferences. I'd rather make a graphic and tell you the same quote that Justin Gaethje said. Again, Justin Gaethje said it. I didn't come up with some brilliant fucking quote. I didn't look. How do you think Khabib feels? You think he wants everybody and their fucking brother on the internet talk about certain location? Nah, it's just, it fucking happened. It is what it is. And if everybody's going to fucking not worry about it and not be a bitch like MMA crazy, the world would be a better place. Well, and that's Price's golden rule of the day. Like, treat each other better.
There you go. I like it. I mean, but you make a good point about people getting comfortable, and that's what you come going back to, like the content side and like the YouTube side of things. That's been an issue for decades and decades as well, is that because of the system itself being kind of broken, and I understand this aspect of it. YouTube is huge. It's something like 100 hours of footage every second being uploaded to YouTube.
It's the internet. It's not YouTube. This isn't a YouTube problem.
Well, this is a YouTube problem, though. I mean, when it comes to the strikes,
a YouTube problem, but in general, this whole, I mean, you have people, instead of talking or having a conversation, like we talked about it tonight on the show, and it's one of my favorite. We have a whole folder called Idiots at the Interweb that we're going to start this segment. I've literally Mike Pope was a guest on my show tonight, former CFFC lightweight champion, black belt who has purple belts underneath of him.
Good guy,
been an
by the way.
MMA,
He seemed like
been
a really
an
cool
MMA
guy.
fighter since 06, active duty U.S. military, hangs out with the UFC legend Colton Smith and best friends with Colton Smith on a regular basis. Sorry to name drop Colton, but he's more familiar that people might know. Just an OG in the MMA space, solid dude, a dad's dad, salt of the earth human being. And there's people that argue with him on the internet that say he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to combat sports. That's the fucking problem. Because the same people that are calling him a libtard and all this other bullshit, if they showed up on the mats in Virginia, they'd get balled up in under 3.
Of course.
So it's an internet problem.
Right. So so take that all of what you just said, and then put that into the YouTube box of it. It's like a problem on top of a problem, because basically the issue is what I was getting at with the brokenness of the system is that the copyright claim / strike system has been an issue on YouTube for decades as well. So it's like you have those type of people that you're talking about right there with a system that's easily exploitable, and something that those exact type of people that are willing to fucking run their mouth but not say shit in person are able to push a button and attack your livelihood. That's you're multiplying problems with problems.
Bro, there's people that call SWAT teams to other people's house because they lost at a video game.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no money involved in that.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no money.
Right, these are just psychopath people. I'm bringing it into context of the YouTube because of what we're talking about.
How many thousands of dollars are these guys making a month on content? That's part of the thing. We're not making thousands of dollars, so we can sit here and we can talk about it till we're blue in the face. If you fuck with my money, or my family, we're going to have a fucking issue. If I'm close enough to get you, we will handle it in person. We will have a conversation in person. If I'm not, I'm the type of motherfucker to farm it out and call somebody. Like, I don't care. It's the same equivalent. It's just the fact that you're being a pussy about it. Like, you could stand 10 toes on business multiple different ways, right? Like, you can. And at the end of the day, everybody's like, oh, this guy's over here talking shit about beat people in the streets. I'll post the YouTube messages tomorrow. We just went to Philadelphia and some guy wanted to chirp till we were touchdown in Philadelphia. Then all of a sudden he hasn't been active on Facebook in fucking 26 hours. I'll post it. I don't give a fuck. I keep my receipts. Anything I say, I'll back the fuck up. I don't care. I ramble, and there may be times where it's enhanced a little bit and the fish is maybe this big and it's never this big, but I never go this big, okay? Here's the fucking deal. Everybody embellishes. We all misspeak. We all forget stuff, and we all see the same situation in different ways sometimes, even if we're both looking at it in the same area. Again, what it boils down to is the warning from this entire 30-minute show that's now 53 minutes long because I won't shut the fuck up. If you're a content creator, stay the fuck away from MMA Crazy's press conference videos.
I mean, I guess that really is, at the end of the day, the big takeaway, unfortunately, here. We'll see what ends up happening with this whole situation. I would suspect that because, I brought it up here for a second, but I'll just bring it back up real briefly, that, the fight business has almost 260,000 followers. So, I mean, subscribers. So I would suspect that this situation will get sorted. They'll get their content back and things will resolve itself.
I mean, I would hope if you have that much of a YouTube following and you're making that much money, you can at least afford a lawyer to try and fight it for you, and you're not just going to sit here in front of your computer.
But do you want to have to? That's what I'm saying. It's like it sucks that it has to get to that,
Money's involved.
Right.
And that much money's involved. So as much as I don't like to sit here and say MMA Crazy is not, for whatever reason, you don't want to get it sorted out in court. I say the head of MMA Crazy, and if it's a female, she started this shit, so maybe your husband should step in her place and take the ass whooping, and this dude should fight, and they should raise a bunch of money for fucking charity, and it fucking wins. That's all I got to say.
Well, perhaps. But I mean, so either way, hopefully
there's a lot of, bro, we can talk about this till we're blue in the face.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
296,000 followers. MMA Crazy, how many followers?
MMA Crazy is 229, so almost 230,000.
Oh, actually, I figured they would have more because of who they were. Yeah, it also could be a case of, okay, not only are you a pussy ass bitch, but you see somebody over here doing stuff way better than you. Hey, you just beat me at the video game. Let me call the SWAT team.
Certainly, there could be a little bit of that too. Either way,
money, bro, money.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
296,000 subs. What's his views? What's his views on his video? Scroll down. What's his views just on his?
His total. I mean, he's 114 million. So I mean, he's doing pretty well.
Money. It might not be a lot of money. It might not be.
It might not be
Jimmy Donaldson money, but he's making money.
Yeah. So I mean, he's almost 10. My bad. That was MMA Crazy is the one with the 114. But that's a different. It's different metrics because it's different types of channels. So it's like the Fight Business has almost 10 with a bigger following because there's a personality attached to it. MMA Crazy has more views but less subscribers because there's no personality attached to it, and it's informational. You know what I'm saying? This again, you're getting into the deeper YouTube metric kind of stuff, which I can talk. You want again something else I can talk.
And again, this is kind of where we probably could have went with this, but at the end of the day, we don't have all the details. So it's not necessary. Any expert commentary from you on the back end of how YouTube works and monetization, because I probably have a thing and I would learn a thing or two. We're not monetized yet. I don't give fuck all about YouTube. I personally don't want to put that much power in something that's going to strip, like, has the ability to do this right away.
And there you go. And it's a good point too. Diversify your content.
Yeah, diversify your content. Check us out on millions.co.
There you go.
No. Yeah, man. A lot to digest. We could probably go round 2 on this.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll wrap it up, but I just wanted to at least put an end on the discussion part of all of this, is that hopefully this will get resolved in a way that'll make sense for the Fight Business and any of the other channels that are affected. And I mean, look, I don't wish ill towards anybody specifically, but MMA Crazy is kind of bringing it on themselves. There probably should be some ramifications from this, whether it's legal or financial, whatever it is. You're definitely scarlet lettering yourself within the community. So here's
where lawyers could get involved.
Well, of course,
if the fighting business, if you want to take it there, I'm not against fighters suing each other, but guess what? These guys aren't fighters. So unless somebody's old lady's going to whoop the old lady from MMA Crazy's ass, ain't nothing happening. So here's how you handle it. If this guy, and again, I'm no lawyer, but if this guy's projected to make X amount of dollars a week or X amount of dollars a month, and you've now stripped that from him and you don't restore it, because I'm pretty sure you can reverse it, correct? Or no?
With the strikes?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, YouTube can reverse it, but I mean, that's, basically what the process is that you dispute it. And then theoretically it goes to arbitration or to legal matters if the other person doesn't accept the dispute.
I mean, you could be, look, last thing I heard, here's the deal. Last thing I heard was YouTube. It's like $6,000 for 1 million views.
I mean,
if you am I look you.
There's a whole more that goes into it.
I know there's a whole, but you can basically say if you get 1 million views on YouTube, around average, it's $4,000 to $6,000. Correct?
I would say that's depending on the type of channel and the type of content. That's probably somewhere in the range. Yeah.
I don't know what. Okay, so we'll just for shits
for argument that we'll
just
go
for
with that.
Shits and giggles, easy math.
Mm-hmm.
Guy, the Fighting Business has how many views?
He's at 10. Wait, my bad. This is the Fighting Business was it's coming up on 10 million.
Calculator. Just because we'll just do the math here, just because we'll break it out for the calculator so we have a fine number to show people. 10 million views, right?
Mm-hmm.
Times $5,000, right?
Yep.
What's the number? Do you know what the number is on that? Can you do quick math on that before I show the?
I mean, I probably should be able to, but go ahead and out me for the idiot I am.
I mean, it's one of my calculators not working. That's why I was going to fucking do it. So it's fuck. Hold on, 5,000.
I mean, you add the zeros, right? So it's like it would be a 5 mil. I want to say. I
mean, there's numbers involved in it that have a lot of zeros.
Exactly, a lot of zeros involved. Whatever the actual deal is with it, I mean, we can continue to out our lack of math skills here, but I mean, yeah, there's certainly money involved. It's livelihood involved. So like I was saying, I hope that this ends up getting sorted in a way that makes sense. But MMA Crazy, I mean, like, you're saying what, like, ramifications, whether or not it's financial. I wanted to realize this comment here back in just at least the last part of it, saying that if it's determined to be frivolous, MMA Crazy should get the strikes, which, I think that there's probably some merit to that. It's like, you're out here falsely striking people, then the strikes come back to you. I'm not saying that I want that to be the outcome. I'd like this to just go away, really would be the best way for this to end. But regardless, I wanted to at least bring some light to this situation so that people who aren't aware of it know that MMA Crazy is indeed fucking crazy and a channel to stay away from.
Fuck that pussy ass bitch at MMA Crazy.
There you go. All right. Well, let's wrap it up here. Price, thank you for coming on. Give them the rundown one more time at Checkmate. Let them know where they can find all this stuff.
Next week, our official home should be checkmatemma.com. If I get off my ass to get this website done, checkmatemma.com coming soon. You can hit up Linktree, Checkmate MMA, get you to all our socials. We are at Checkmate MMA, literally everywhere: TikTok, X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch for live game streaming. We do some of that as well. We've got a Checkmate gaming channel coming, mostly on Instagram and Facebook. We do get everywhere else. Shout out to GL3, he runs our Twitter. Website coming soon. We do have, and our show is powered by MMA themed, fresh roasted specialty grade coffee. It really is good coffee. I don't care if our brand's on it or not. It's fresh roasted to order. If you're not a person that drinks fresh roasted coffee, it'll probably change your life. If you are a person that goes down and gets fresh roasted coffee, probably tastes like the shit you get down the street. But MMA themed, 6 flavors, cinnamon stare down and single barrel takedown, which is coffee that's aged in bourbon barrels 30 days before it's roasted, are 2 best sellers. People have been getting crazy and mixed them together. We've been hearing in the chats. Checkmate, tinyurl.com/checkmate roaster CHKM8 for that. Use code checkmate for free shipping. We are Checkmate MMA everywhere. If you're on Millions or looking to get into Millions, millions.co at checkmate-MMA. And we're doing some really cool interviews with some really cool people there. They are going to be on our socials, but the live interviews themselves are on Millions. And we got new merch coming. Especially, we definitely, from the masses, they've asked about it. If you've watched our show, we will have a Bill Walter. This is not a gambling show t-shirt.
I'm looking forward to mine of that. I want one of
those. Coming very soon. Again, coffee, merch, sups, checkmatemma.com after next week. We appreciate any and all the support we get, especially from YouTubers. And just want to shout out my wife for supporting us doing this shit. Shout out Bill Walter, his old lady, Tanner Canada, any of the 40 or 50 guests we've had on our show. Like, we're just trying to bring a perspective. Yes, I yell. Yes, I bitch. Sometimes my opinions aren't the greatest, but I'm usually pretty on point unless it's fight picks. And then don't pick your parlay based on what I say. This is not a gambling show. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, appreciate you, Matt. Hey. Appreciate you guys.
Always, brother. Yep. And of course, as always, you can find me at Yama Show on Twitter and on Instagram, hopefully back on Facebook very soon. We will be back. I'm going to hopefully actually have a video out either tonight or first thing tomorrow. So keep an eye on the channel for another video that should be dropping soon. And of course, we will be back on Saturday for the watch along. So catch up with us. Myself and the Vitz King will be watching the event, UFC 313. So we will see you very soon, everybody. Thanks again to Price for stopping by and chatting some content with me. Appreciate it. Everybody in the chat, we will catch you next time. And as always, everybody, fight on.
Game.